Welcome to Sib Spot. Today's stories are from Am I the A-Hole? Story 1 is by RudeLab9732. Will I be the a-hole if I don't get my mole removed for my friend's wedding? Throwaway account. Hi everyone. I'm writing to you all because I've been going back and forth on this issue and I feel conflicted. I'm a 24 female and my friend Zoe, who's 25 female, is getting married and I'm set to be a bridesmaid in her wedding, which is early next year. I am excited for the wedding and I'm doing everything I can to help her out with planning and setting up. Recently, Zoe asked me out for coffee, away from the other bridesmaids, as she said she wanted to talk to me about something privately. I agreed and asked her if something was wrong. She said it was nothing huge and just wanted to talk to me. I met up with Zoe the other day, like she asked. It was there that she told me she wanted to get the mole on my face removed before the wedding. I have a mole on my right cheek kind of near my nose. It's not huge, but it's definitely noticeable. Zoe explained that she wanted everyone to look good in their wedding photos as well as on the wedding day, understandable, and that the mole on my face would be a distraction, and that I wouldn't look good in the photos. What the heck is wrong with your friend? This type of person right here, I'm going to say it before I even get to the end of the video, doesn't deserve your friendship. She said that she would pay for the surgery out of pocket as she could afford it, and all I would have to do was go in and get it removed. I told her that I needed time to think about it. She said she understood, but let me know that it would be mandatory for me to have the procedure in order to be a bridesmaid. I said that I would get back to her. I'm really conflicted on this because I had times where I've been insecure about my mole, and Zoe wasn't lying when she said that it distracts from my face. So if she was asking me to remove it, it may be better in the long run and she's paying for it. However, I don't really know if I want such a procedure done to my face and I'm thinking about not going through with it. But Zoe is my friend and more importantly, she's the bride and I want her to have the best day, which is why I think I may be the a-hole if I don't go through with it. Would I be wrong if I didn't get the mole on my face removed? If somebody told me that it was mandatory that I have a mole removed from my face before I was a bridesmaid at a wedding, I'd be like, all right, see ya, get somebody else. And I will not be at your wedding either. Because that's offensive. She's saying, I want everybody to look really good. And your mole distracts from your face. No, 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 no. Some of the most beautiful women in history have had moles on their face. Marilyn Monroe, Mandy Moore, Cindy Crawford, Ava Mendez, Paula Abdul. I had a mole removed years ago, but it wasn't to get it removed. It was because I was worried that it might be skin cancer because it changed over time. But they removed it and said there was nothing wrong with it. And I kind of wish that I still have it because it was part of who I was. And they had to remove the entire thing for a large enough sample to make sure that it wasn't cancerous. But moles are beautiful. If you're self-conscious about it and you want it removed, get it done on your own time away from this. Like I said, if she's making it mandatory for you to have it removed, she's not a good friend. And you should not be a bridesmaid at her wedding, and you should not be her friend anymore either. What a ridiculous requirement. It'd be different if she was like, I was thinking, you always told me that you wanted that removed, and I'll pay for it if you want it done before the wedding. I'm fine with that, but you don't have to have it removed. You're beautiful regardless. That would be a good friend. This person doesn't deserve your friendship. Down in the comments by Pope00, not the a-hole. Jesus, imagine a bride saying, hey Stacy, I know we're besties, but I don't want you in the bridal party because you're a big uggo and you're fat and you'll ruin the photos. That's psychotic. Your friend would be an a-hole if they simply asked you to lose 5 pounds for the wedding. We're talking actual surgery. Is it even that noticeable? Like the size of a quarter or larger? Having said that, if it's something you feel insecure about and you'd like to get surgery, your friend is still an a-hole, but you can get some free surgery out of it. And if you're insecure, that might help you feel better about yourself in the future, I guess? Under that by GRPTRT. Pretty much this. It sounds like you've been thinking about it anyhow. If you're on the fence, go see a dermatologist for a consultation to get their opinion. And finally by Cat Entropy. I'd recommend a plastic surgeon. I had a few removed from my face by a plastic surgeon and a few by a dermatologist in other areas. For the face, I definitely recommend a plastic surgeon, less scarring. I have 0 scarring on my face from the removal. They can still send it out for a pathology study to make sure it isn't cancerous. Our next story is by New Explanation 4159. Am I the a-hole for making my ex-husband give our son his car keys back? My ex-husband and I have a 17-year-old son who began driving and got his own car a little over a year ago. He has a good, clean record so far, no accidents. Early this week, however, he had a minor road rage incident, which I am describing as I saw in my son's dash cam footage. He was in a left turn lane at a red light behind two other cars. The light turned green, but the car in front didn't move. The car in front of my son and my son leaned on their horn, but they still didn't move. They blared their horns non-stop for a good 15 seconds, but the car still didn't move. The light turned red, and just afterward, the car in front ran the red light and made a U-turn. My son, as the car passed him in the opposite lane, flipped off the driver and screamed, "Stupid effing B-word," at the top of his lungs out the window at the driver, a woman who looked to be in her 60s or 70s. That intersection has long lights, so my son had to wait a long time for the next green light. Coincidentally, this woman lives in the same condo complex as my ex-husband and son, even though neither of them claimed to have ever met her before or recognized her. But she apparently recognized my son and his car. She confronted my ex-husband about it a couple days afterward. She made my son's behavior sound a lot worse than it actually was. She said that my son threatened and intimidated her, and also downplayed her actions. She said she made a tiny driving mistake and didn't give any more details beyond that. My ex took a look at my son's dashcam footage and saw the whole incident. Though he agreed it wasn't as bad as she made it sound, he was still angry at my son. He made him apologize and told him he would be taking away his keys for a whole week, meaning he'd have to walk to school and everywhere else. He made a big deal about how he doesn't want his son disrespecting women and his elders or road raging. I thought his punishment was way too harsh, considering the circumstances. I had a long conversation with my ex the day after he made the punishment, made it clear how I felt, and demanded he give him his keys back. He stood his ground at first, but eventually, and very reluctantly, gave in, since I'm the parent that spends most of the time with him and thus the one who has ultimate veto power. My ex seemed really unhappy about our son getting out of his punishment. Am I the a-hole? To me, this one has a little bit of everyone sucks here. Your son needs to be punished. It's ideal if his punishment has to do with his vehicle, but losing his vehicle and having to walk everywhere when it's his own car just because he swore at somebody is not okay. Your son is an a-hole for swearing at the woman. This woman could have been having something wrong at the intersection. I mean, she obviously didn't, because she was like, oh, it's a tiny driving mistake. I would also, you can find videos of people who are not going anywhere in the road and 911 gets called on them because they just sit there and block traffic for hours and they're having like a mental episode. They're breaking down. And you have to be careful because it could just be an error that the person made, or the person could be having some sort of medical emergency and they might need help. You never know. And if you tip somebody over the edge who's having a medical emergency, there was one woman who was stopped at an intersection. The police came and they were talking to her through the window, and she was just sitting there, non-responsive, and she was just breathing really heavily, and she looked paralyzed. And then she pulled a gun out and shot at the cop. You have to be very careful. You don't know what people are going through or if they have weapons in their vehicle. That being said, your son should not have screamed swear words at her. Your ex should not have taken the keys away for a week. And I think you guys should take the dash cam footage and submit it to the police so that the woman who ran a red and could have potentially caused an accident gets a ticket because she lied. It wasn't just a tiny driving mistake. The older lady needs some sort of punishment for what she did. She ran a red light after not driving properly to begin with. So I think everybody sucks a little bit here. Nobody's innocent in this story. Down in the comments by Optimal Hamster 5518. Not the a-hole, especially if she's lying and adding stuff to make it sound worse. She shouldn't even be on the road. Have a talk with your son because it's dangerous to yell at someone like that, and just like the lady recognized him, someone else could have done something far, far worse. Under that by Sawdeans. The fact that she's lying about it should really emphasize the point, not undermine it. People in real life lie all the time. What if next time the person calls the cops? The old lady is obviously wrong too, but so is the son. Learning not to yell and flip the finger at other drivers is both a practical and ethical lesson that should be taught. And finally, by Mama Pagan. That's fair. Why didn't she go until the light was red? Was she on her phone driving while distracted? Then she ran a red light, which is illegal, could have caused a car crash, and she also made an illegal U-turn, which, again, illegal. How do you not notice the light turn green and 2 cars honking at you, however long periods? This lady shouldn't be driving, period. It's not even about age, it's about all her dangerous actions, pointing at being a danger to herself and others. He should not be punished for that. However, I agree OP should at least talk to him about karma will catch up to people like her, and he can send his dashcam footage to the police to report an unsafe driver rather than road rage and cause more issues, especially if they live in the US. Our next story is by I'll Stretch 6725. Am I the a-hole for not showing up to my sister's wedding and calling her ungrateful? Edit. I had asked her for $600 and spent around $15,000 to $20,000 for her treatment. I know she had the money because she's recently got a job that was high enough and she would have been able to pay me. The wedding was being paid for by our parents and the grooms. No, I didn't say that I had cured her per se. I told her that I'd paid for her medications and treatment, which essentially is helping in curing and treating her. I'm 29 male and my sister is Ashley, who's a 27 female. She had her wedding yesterday, but I didn't attend it. 2 or so years ago, when she was going through medical depression and required treatment, I had helped her. She didn't have the money, and I was the one who paid for everything for her, etc. None of her friends had helped her, and neither did any of our relatives. Much later, when she'd gotten out of her issues, there came a time when I required some money. I asked her, and she refused by saying she can't help and not to bother her about it again. I was shocked considering how much I had spent on her, and when she continued to refuse, I asked whether she had forgotten what I'd done for her. Ashley asked me how I can say that I cured her when it was the medications that worked, and that I wasn't the doctor. She said it was the medicines and the doctor that treated her and not me. I didn't argue. When the wedding date was fixed, I told her I'm not coming. She was surprised and asked me why, and I told her I have better things to do with my time than attending weddings of people like her. She got mad and asked me what my problem was, and that she wants everyone to be present. She asked me not to insult her. I told her that she herself had insulted me by brushing away everything I did for her, and that she's extremely ungrateful for not helping me with money when she could have. I told her I hadn't even asked her to give back the money I'd spent on her, but she had no humanity at all. We had an argument, and everyone asked me to forget about it and to attend. But I didn't attend her wedding, and I didn't even congratulate her. Am I the a-hole? Your sister is a huge a-hole for not recognizing that you paid for the doctor and for the medication $15,000 to $20,000. And did you tell her how much you spent on her? Does she even know? It is hard for anyone to function if they have depression. But no, I think your sister in this case is the bad guy, and you not going to her wedding is perfectly fine. But I think you should also make it really clear how much money you spent on her. But at this point, it sounds like you guys are going to not have a good relationship, and that's on her, and you make sure she knows it. You don't have to have a good relationship with somebody who is completely ungrateful like that. Down in the comments by Mr. Souvlaki. You didn't help me, the doctors and the medicine did, so I don't owe you anything. You didn't take me to work for a year, your car did, so I don't owe you anything. You didn't feed me, the food from the supermarket did, so I don't owe you anything. I would want to stay as far away as possible from a person that uses this kind of logic, not the a-hole. That's a really good reply right there. I think if you went to your sister and showed them that reply, she might change her tune. And if she doesn't, it's her loss if she doesn't fix the relationship with you. You lose nothing but somebody who used you, honestly. Our stories for today have come to a close. If you guys enjoy this content, please click like or subscribe, or click the little notification bell so you get alerts when videos drop. Each of these things helps my channel reach more people in the YouTube algorithm. Until we meet again, have a remarkable day.